maybe a 30% increase in silver will feel like child's play 6 months from now. You might remember the last time this happened, silver went on a tear. This is a big, big deal. Silver went up 30% the last time this happened. And is it happening again right now? And even more fascinating are the situations that are creating this issue even more extreme. Are we in a position where this could happen at a much more exaggerated level? Maybe a 30% increase in silver will feel like child's play 6 months from now. What are we talking about? We're going to cover that in this video. First, we have something more important to cover, and that is me telling you, thank you for joining me here in the basement. You're always welcome here. I'll put out a new piece of content every single day for the rest of my life. So, hey, we're going to be together for a long time. Please subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up. Now, what is going on that nobody's talking about? You're not hearing this mentioned in the mainstream media. It's like there's a blackout around this situation. Look at the 10-year bond yield. That's the level of interest that a 10-year Treasury note is paying right now. When you take a look, you'll see it's well above 4% right now. What does that have to do with silver, you might be asking? Well, the last time it got above 4% was early March of 2023. And shortly thereafter, we had a little bit of a banking problem here in the United States, and that lit the fuse under the price of the precious metals, in particular silver. Do you remember going to your local coin shop and trying to get an ounce of silver in late March, early April? There was none to be found. I remember the big online retailers, the big online bullion dealers saying, hey, we can't ship for 2 weeks. We can't ship for 3 weeks. We've got more business right now than we've ever had before. But again, what does this have to do with the 10-year bond yield? Well, it has to do with the banking system, correct? Right? Because the banks get put under a huge amount of stress when the bond yields go up because the value of their bond portfolios go down, down, down. And we already know there's some other big factors heading straight at the banks that could make it even worse this time. Think about the commercial real estate issue. That's just now starting to have an impact in the banking sector. Yes, all those big office buildings that are sitting empty, that the banks have loaned billions, if not trillions of dollars against. The banks are sitting on potential huge losses in the commercial real estate sector, and all the top financial analysts are warning of this. What about the fact that the Treasury, Janet Yellen, our old friend, is selling trillions of dollars in Treasury notes? Right, because our government spends over $1 trillion every year, more than they bring in. All that supply of treasuries going into the market is only also going to exacerbate the already higher rates. It's going to push rates even higher. That will put even more stress on the banks. Now, look, I don't have a crystal ball. Maybe I've got this all wrong, but I am very suspicious that we're not hearing about this from the mainstream media. Look, don't expect to walk into your bank and have a big placard in the lobby next to the one advertising to you the jumbo mumbo checking account that's going to pay you 0.3% interest, another placard next to it saying, hey, we just wanted to let you know that the value of our assets is down by 30%, and we're getting a little worried about our financial stability. Don't expect that. Remember, guys, when these things happen, they happen very, very quickly. And if we rewind just back to March and April of this year, when we had the little quote-unquote banking crisis that created the need for Janet Yellen and Jerome Powell to have emergency meetings on a Sunday? not a big deal, just had to have a little emergency meeting, right? We can see that these situations can unravel quickly. I want to point out one more very pertinent point regarding this situation. Don't forget, right, that last time this happened, just 2 or 3 days ahead, Jerome Powell was in Congress giving testimony, telling them that everything seems stable and fine. And within just a few days, we had a big banking crisis unfold. And I'll say big because it is big. What happened in March and April, do you realize? And again, they're not telling you this on the front page of your local newspaper or on the Children's News Network. No, they're not going to tell you that those 3 banks combined were larger than all the banks that failed during the great financial crisis. What does that tell us about what's going on? Now, on top of that, right, already the stress pressing down on the banks, higher interest rates, depositors wanting to pull their money out so that they can get into these treasuries at higher interest rates, the economy slowing. It's just not a good situation right now in the banking sector. The banks are very fragile. And you can only imagine what would happen if we, just by chance, although Jerome and Janet Yellen are telling us we're not going to have a recession, but just wonder what might happen if we did have a recession. How would the banks react? How would the banking sector be able to survive? And I'm not talking about utter, total collapse everywhere, but it doesn't take a lot for contagion to take root within the system. Everybody's combined. Don't forget, these banks also have quadrillions of dollars of derivatives, insurance policies amongst themselves. So what do you think Jerome's going to do if things get hairy again? I'll give you one guess. Yeah, you got it. He's going to print money because he's not going to let the whole system implode. No, the wealthy, the elites, they're beholden to this current system. They would rather nurse it along, but the only way to nurse it will be to inject more liquidity, to print more money, right? To paper over whatever the next crisis is that we're faced with as we head into the coming months, quarters, and years. Hey, this is just my opinion, right? I don't have a real crystal ball. I do have this crystal ball from my good friend Buddy Rumble, the Louisiana Gold Guru. But do your own due diligence. Use your own head. Come up with your own ideas and plan of action. I certainly am not always right. And when you disagree with me, that gives me an opportunity to learn. So please leave a comment in the comment section below. If you have any information or anything you think is interesting that would bring up a good point of discussion during a video, I'm always open to your recommendations. Most important, I appreciate you joining me here in the basement. You really are the most important part of Ron's Basement, and I'll see you soon.